Welcome to the Jim Florentine Comedy Metal Midgets podcast on riotcast.com. I got some upcoming tour dates. South Florida, January 8th and 9th. Boca Black Box Comedy Club, Boca Raton, Florida, January 13th through 16th. Stanford's Comedy Club, Overland Park, Kansas. Albany, New York, January 22nd, 23rd. Comedy Works. Fort Myers, Florida, February 12th and 13th at the Laugh-In Comedy Club. And February 18th through 21, the Improv in Cleveland, Ohio. And I'm going to be in Dubuque, Iowa, and Cedar Rapids, Iowa in late February. Go to my website, jimflorentine.com, for all info. All right. I really don't want to do this podcast. I got to be honest. I'm dreading it. Usually I love doing the podcast. It gets a lot of fucking shit off my mind. I know how much you guys enjoy it. But this one is going to be a tribute to a musician that just passed away this past week, Lemmy from Motörhead. I don't like doing these every once in a while. I have to. I don't know, man. It just, I was a fan of the band Motörhead since I was 17 years old. Seen them probably 35 times. Met Lemmy probably about 10 times. Hung out with him a bunch of times. It's just weird, man. It's almost like he was a part of your life. You always knew he was going to be there, and you're always like, yeah, Motörhead. Come around every year or two and tour. You're like, oh, Motörhead's back. Check him out again. Almost like a family member, man. That's not going to be around anymore. That you don't see that often, but they're always there. Put on their music. And listen to that. And I don't know, man. It's this is a weird one, man, because I got to know the guy over the years. And as a 16-year-old kid living down in Florida, I saw their first show ever Motörhead did in the United States. It was like at a baseball stadium, a minor league baseball stadium in Miami, Florida. I don't remember where or whatever it was, but I remember it was like a festival. Heart, Journey, Motörhead, and I think like two other bands, but it wasn't like a metal thing. I can't remember, maybe UFO might have been on it or something, but Motörhead went on at like 12:30 in the afternoon for 30 minutes. It was like 110 degrees out. Nobody fucking knew who they were. Nobody. There was probably like, 3,000 people in the stadium at the time because they went on first. And I remember my brother Bob watching, like, holy shit, because what happened is there was this band called Saxon, and me and my brother got into them. And they had an album out, and on the back of the album was a picture of the guys in the band. It was the Wheels of Steel record. And one of the two of the guys were wearing Motörhead t-shirts. So like, oh, man, if they're wearing that shirt, we should check them out. They must be good if Saxon's wearing them. So we went to this, like, import record store when we were living down in Fort Lauderdale. I can't remember the fucking place. It wasn't Peaches, because people have brought that up, but it was on, like, Sunrise Highway in, like, a little fucking mini mall, strip mall place. Anyway, so they sold, like, import records, so we said, we got to go check out Motörhead, and then we found out that Motörhead was playing, like, 2 weeks later at this festival. We go, you know what, we got to go see them. So we went and got the Ace of Spades record just came out. I guess it was like February, March 81 or something like that, somewhere around there. And we went down there to the store to go get the record. And if anyone knows the Ace of Spades album cover, they're dressed up like it's a Western in a desert. And I remember it sitting behind a counter because we special ordered it. And I look at it and I'm like, holy shit. I looked at the cover. I'm like, what the fuck is that? They look like Mexicans. I'm like, how can Mexicans play heavy metal? What the fuck is this about? Look, this is 1981. Now I know, obviously, they can, and it doesn't make a difference what color they are, but it's just weird. I was like, what the fuck is that? And it was like $16.98 for an album. I'm making $3.35 an hour fucking doing dishes. I don't know what my brother was making. And we're like, you know what? We didn't even know what they sounded like. This is way before the internet. You couldn't check any shit out. We didn't even know what they sound. We had no idea. And we're like, fuck it, we got to get it. We're going to go see him in a week. Saxon likes them. So let's buy this thing. And I put it on, and the first track was The Chase is Better Than the Catch on the original record. I never switched the order of the tracks later on and later pressings of that album, but The Chase is Better. I'm like, this is fucking unbelievable. And went and saw them 2 weeks later, and nobody liked them. They were just loud and rude and sweating and ugly. And I was like, this is like my favorite band now. When you start off like in Motörhead and the first record you get is Ace of Spades, you know, their masterpiece, how can you not be a fan for life? And then I saw him, like, you know, a year later, maybe 6 months later or something like that, open for Ozzy on the Blizzard of Oz tour as a kid with Randy Rhoads and Motörhead opening. And I'm like, this is the greatest. And then as soon as I graduated high school, like, me and my friends would drive around in my buddy's station wagon with like 2 cases of beer and just crank music and crank Motörhead and just drive around the neighborhood, like 6 of us in there, drinking beer and listening to We Are the Road Crew and the Ace of Spades record. It was like our whole fucking childhood. Now, if I knew this person, what I did when I was younger, I'd spend the whole podcast ripping him apart. But me and my friends were so fucking corny and ridiculous, and absolutely no reason for it. And I can't even defend this at all, even if I was 17 years old or 18, whatever it was. We used to all keep an Ace of Spades card from a playing deck in our wallet. And you got an Ace of Spades, of course, and show people, like, look, I'm a big Motörhead fan. I keep the Ace of Spades card in my wallet. If someone sent me that now in an email, I could do a whole podcast on that. Like, why would you do that? Even if you're 17 or 18, there's no reason to keep a fucking playing card of a title of an album in your wallet. Who are you trying to impress? The 4 other people in the neighborhood that know who Motörhead is and maybe like them? That's it. But I was always fascinated by Motörhead because Lemmy was fucking missing a tooth, and it was chipped, and they were ugly and greasy, and Lemmy had a couple tattoos before anyone really had tattoos. I remember I was seeing a thing like online. They used to sell shirts. It said "Go to bed with Motörhead," and I'm like, I thought that was the greatest thing ever. I'm reading the magazine, and Lemmy said, if Motörhead moves next door to you, your lawn will die. I thought that was the greatest shit ever as a kid. Then the 80s come, and all the bands are fucking wearing makeup and spandex and looking all pretty. Like boy bands, basically. And Motörhead was just an ugly band and never wavered, never wore makeup, never put hairspray, none of that bullshit. Drinking in every fucking picture, and just an ugly band, and I fucking love that. I always sided more towards that. The Metallica, the Motörhead, the Megadeth, the Anthrax, those kind of bands, even Guns N' Roses, shit like that, than more of the hair metal stuff. I like some of it for a little while, but always went towards more that side. But I just always loved Lemmy because he didn't give a fuck. I love that about him. He never did. He always did it his way. Anyone who knows Motörhead knows that. He didn't give a shit about anybody. I mean, they never made a lot of money. Like, they were never a huge band. And I know, like, during the 90s and stuff like that, Lemmy would say in interviews, he goes, yeah, we'd make just enough money to put an album out. We'd tour, we'd save a little of that money up, and then we put it back in the next record to go make it, to go in the recording studio, put all that money back in, and then go back out on tour. So we really don't make that much money. And he just loved being on tour. Ozzy said he'd be up for, when he was on tour, and he goes, Lemmy's fucking crazy. He just stays up and reads. He used to stay up for like 3 days. He would do speed. I mean, Lemmy was Jimi Hendrix's roadie for like 6 months in 1968, I think it was. Did drugs with Jimi Hendrix. That's fucking insane. The guy just had some amazing quotes. There's some great, amazing quotes from Lemmy online. Like, he was always that quotable guy. Let me give you one right here. Yeah, where are we at here? The only interesting thing about religion is how many people it's slaughtered. Then he has another one. Religion is stupid anyway. I mean, a virgin gets pregnant by a ghost? You would never get away with that in divorce court, would you? That's fucking genius. Genius. Like, he always had shit like that. If you didn't do anything that wasn't good for you, it'd be very dull. It would be a very dull life. What are you going to do? Everything that is pleasant in life is dangerous. Here's another one. If you're going to be a fucking rock star, go be one. Please, people don't want to see the guy next door on stage. They want to see a being from another planet. Here's another one. People have forgotten that sex is fun. It's the most fun you can have without laughing. People have forgotten that. It's all deadly serious. AIDS. You can get gonorrhea from a blowjob. So what? That's the risk you have to take. If you're going to have sex, fucking have sex and be happy about it. Don't be looking over your shoulder all the time. It ruins everything. He said, there's no one. There was a magazine in England who said I screwed 2,000 women, and I didn't. I said 1,000. When you think about it, it isn't that unreasonable. And here's one more. People just rip each other to shreds over the years. Nothing kills a relationship like commitment. That's fucking beautiful. The guy never got married. He had a couple kids. And he basically said he just, he died at 70 years old. He turned 70 on Christmas Eve and died 2 days later. He said, yeah, for 1,000 women, to sleep with 1,000 women, he goes, I've been doing that for 55 years. So that really isn't a lot. It's basically like, around 18 women a year he would sleep with over 55 years. Being in a band, touring, and never being married. So it makes sense that he did that. He said when he was like 16, he lived in some I don't know, somewhere over in Europe, and these girls would come in for the summer on a fucking boat and hang out and work or whatever like that and do some kind of thing. And he's like, you'd be fucking them all. He's like, that's when I realized, man, how am I going to do this? Let me get up on stage. And he actually admitted, which nobody admits anymore, that he got on stage so he can get laid. He had a great quote about, women will take their clothes off a lot easier if you're a musician. If you know how to play the guitar, they come off even faster. That's fucking beautiful. And he admitted that. He goes, and if you know how to play the guitar, they come off even faster. And nobody ever said anything bad about Lemmy. I mean, nowadays you could consider that sexist. Oh my God, he slept with 1,000 women. He just used and abused them. You know what I mean? He didn't even give a shit about women. He just discarded them after he fucked them. That's the mentality these days. Never gave a fuck, and nobody ever called him out on it because, like, hey, that's Lemmy. That's just the way he thinks. He's almost like Keith Richards of the metal world, where he's done every drug, drank, but he's done way more than Keith Richards. Like, Keith Richards has been sober for like 20 years. I saw Lemmy like 2 weeks ago. I went to his 70th birthday party out in California, and he was still drinking and smoking. I didn't think he had 2 weeks to live, basically. He didn't even know that. Supposedly, I guess around his birthday, on his 70th birthday, December 24th, he was born on Christmas Eve. He found out he had this aggressive form of cancer, and he had 1 month to live, and then 2 days later, he died. I saw him on December 13th, 11 days before. They did a whole, they had a big 70th birthday party for him at the Whiskey, famous rock club on the Sunset Strip in L.A. A bunch of bands were going up performing, doing some Motörhead stuff and all that, and, it was all for Lemmy and stuff, and I figured I got invited to it. I'm like, I got to go, because you don't know when the last time is. You're going to see him, whatever, this and that, and I'm lucky I went out there. It was a pain in the ass to get out there, logistics, flights, getting back home to get my son and all that stuff, but obviously well worth it. I was lucky enough to see him in Vegas in August. That was the last time I saw Motörhead perform, but I had to make sure I went to that show, because you just never know as these bands get older, like when it's going to end. And Lemmy was in bad health like the last few years. He was indestructible for so long. I mean, he basically said he drank like a bottle of Jack Daniels for like 40 straight years, every day. I remember in interviews, he goes, you never see me drunk. You never, Lemmy was never stumbling drunk anywhere, passing out all over like that. He goes, how can I be drunk he goes, I never get drunk because I just have one long drink. One continuous drink. And he's like, I don't get hangovers. You have to stop drinking to get hangovers. That's fucking beautiful. I know. How irresponsible is that to say now, right? I just love that they weren't a safe band, that Lemmy wasn't safe and didn't give a shit. I remember interviewing him, and he's like, I don't wear condoms. I tried it once. I didn't like it. Why wear a condom? He's like, I got good timing. I'm a rock and roller. I got good timing. I could pull out. I know when it's coming. I got a beat. I got the beat down. Imagine if some actor said that in an interview. I don't wear condoms. Why? I got the beat down. I got 2 kids or whatever, 2 that I know of. Also said that in the interview. What a piece of shit, the worst. There'd be headlines all over. You realize how fucking safe it is? How everybody's afraid to say anything? And God forbid you just say you're in whatever, you just want to get laid. You're in it for the chicks. Like how horrible it is to say right now. And Lemmy never gave a shit. Man. I remember the first time I met Lemmy, I was working for this local video show in New Jersey called Video Spotlight. It was on a local cable channel, whatever, music show, and I would do interviews for the show. And Motörhead was playing at the Birch Hill, a rock club in Old Bridge, New Jersey. If anyone knows it, been there before, knows what I'm talking about. And Motörhead was playing, and I don't know, it was probably 91, somewhere around there. And the place was 10 minutes from my house. I grew up in that town. And I just went down there with a tape recorder. I knocked on the tour bus. I knew the tour bus would just park out back Did it early in the day. I got there like 2 in the afternoon. I knocked on the tour bus, and like the tour manager, someone came out. And I'm like, hey, man, I work in this local video show, and I was wondering if I could do a quick interview with Lemmy, just an audio thing. And we'll transcribe, but I think that's how it was going to work. I don't think there was actually a camera. Maybe there was. I don't even fucking remember. And he's like, well, he goes, you know, you're supposed to schedule this shit with me. You know what I mean? Like, who are you guys? And I'm like, look, I'm a big fan. I know everything about Motörhead. I know what, I'm going to ask him good questions. And he goes, well, let me sleep in right now. Come back around 5. And if you have a bottle of Jack Daniels, he'll do the interview. I'm like, really? He goes, yep, buy him a bottle of Jack Daniels, and he'll sit and do an interview with you. I'm like, no problem. Went right down to the liquor store, got a bottle of Jack Daniels, waited in my car till 5 o'clock. He came out. He started drinking. He's like, you got to drink with me. We're going to do an interview. I'm like, all right, fine. We're both drinking Jack Daniels, and I fucking interviewed my legend, a legend that I was fucking... I didn't want to tell him I kept an ace of spades in my fucking wallet at that time. I wasn't keeping it in anymore. It was embarrassing. But interviewed the guy, and total gentleman, really nice. Was impressed that I was a fan of the band. I knew the history, and made sure I was hooked up later that night. You know, you make sure you want to bring anybody. You get backstage. We could probably hang afterwards, not so much before the show. All of that shit. And then some other kid was there that had like a fucking, was on like some college radio station that I never even heard of. And Lemmy sat with him for 20 minutes and did an interview with him. That's just the kind of guy he was. He was just a really nice, down-to-earth dude. You could tell like he just never took his fans or anybody for granted. If anyone ever saw him at the Rainbow, the club in the Sunset Strip in L.A., where he would just sit there and play video games, like he was never a dick to people. Like he was just there and he would sit there drinking, playing video games, and hanging out. And everybody knew Lemmy hung out there. He had his apartment was right down the street. He'd walk there every night. I don't think he ever had a driver's license. He never drove. And you remember shit like that, man. Just, you know, being like, I don't know, I guess 22, 23 at the time, interviewing a guy that I just idolized and just, you know, had a big part of my childhood growing up. Just listening to Motörhead. It was fucking great. And then him being nice to you and making sure you're taken care of and shit. I just loved that he didn't give a shit. I always tried to model myself after people like that didn't give a fuck and did it their own way. You know, once in a while you got to meet people half the way. I get it. And I got to do that in this business. You know, but I just love, most of the time I don't give a shit. You could tell by my podcast the shit I say on here. And the things I attack that I don't give a shit. I don't. If you like it, great. If you don't, I totally understand. It's not for everybody. I've said it a million times. Guys come up to, dude, I love you. My wife hates you. And I'm not going, why does she hate me? But why? I don't try to get that person. And Lemmy was the same way. He's like, whatever, we're Motörhead. Every night he get on stage, we're Motörhead and we play rock and roll and just fucking play a song and open the concert. I remember one time I was friends with this stripper. Motörhead was playing in Jersey. It was like the first night of their tour, and I guess they were in town the night before. She calls me up and she goes, Lemmy is sitting at the bar right now for Motörhead. I'm like, are you serious? She goes, yup, he's here. There's nobody recognizes him. He's just sitting by himself. I live like 15 minutes from that strip club. It was like a Sunday night or something like that. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Fucking sped down there. Walk in there. Lemmy's just sitting there. Drinking, smoking. And I walk by, I'm like, hey, Lemmy, what's going on? He goes, how you doing, man? And then I was like, I'm not going to sit right next to him. So I sat a few seats over. Then I started slowly working my way over. Hung with him for a bit because he was by himself. He was with a bunch of dudes. I wasn't going to do that. We're just talking music. I go, yeah, I'm coming to the show tomorrow night. He's like, oh, cool, that's great. And just talking, watching the dancers, making comments about them, tipping them, cracking jokes. I'm like, this is the fucking greatest. And I wasn't that asshole to go, remember I interviewed you like 8 years ago at the Birch Hill. I was the guy that brought you biology. I knew he didn't remember. I didn't bring it up. He didn't give a fuck. I didn't give a fuck. I know he wasn't going to... I don't want to put the guy in a spot by him going, yeah, I think I remember that. So he hangs out there to like 2 in the morning. I hung out to like 2. They're playing the next day at this place, Starland Ballroom in Jersey, right? I know the manager over there. I leave. I go home. I'm going to the show the next night. He texts me at noon, and he goes, hey, dude, he goes... Lemmy's here at noon. He goes, Lemmy's here, and he's fucking pissed that the bar's not open. We can't get the alcohol because it's all locked. He wants to start drinking. I'm like, holy shit. I go, I thought the sound check wasn't until like 4 o'clock. He goes, yeah, but he's here early, and he wants to start drinking. So they open a bar for him. I get down there at like 3:30. I watch the sound check, just hanging out, laying low in the back. He's been up all night. I guess he was doing his fucking speed. He loved doing speed or crystal meth or whatever it was. Never went to sleep. Looking to get the bar open at noon. Leaving the strip club at 2. Doing a sound check at 4. And then the show was at like 9:30. And I remember it was like 9:40. And I'm saying to my friend, the manager, I go, what's going on? Where's Lemmy at? He goes, he's still in a strip club right now. They're getting him out of here right now. And he'll be here in 10 minutes. And they're going right on. He was back in a strip club. And then goes on and does a fucking killer hour and 45-minute show with no sleep, drinking for who knows how long. At least 24 hours before I even knew. And then hung out with him afterwards in the back and had more fucking drinks with the guy. I didn't bring up, hey, remember me from the strip club last night either. Because he didn't give a fuck. He thought about the 9 chicks he was trying to bang. Which another time... I think it was probably the next time I met him was probably 2007. Jim Norton, a friend of mine, comic friend of mine, is doing this show for HBO called Down and Dirty with Jim Norton. It's a stand-up show where he's the host. And he basically... It's all dirty comedians. Everybody's got to be dirty and edgy, and that's the theme of the show. I get picked to do stand-up on it. Jim's a good friend of mine. Jim's also a fan of Motörhead, and he decides to have Lemmy be like the DJ on the show. Lemmy's just up on a platform making a couple comments to Jim back and forth, almost like a sidekick. Now I'm in the business probably doing, I don't know, 15 years at a time or whatever it is. Yeah, and I'm more nervous that Lemmy from Motörhead is going to see my stand-up set than I am that this show is going to be on HBO. And for a comic to be on HBO, especially back then, was huge. I mean, it was only like a 7 or 8 minute set, but still, it was huge. Everybody watched HBO for comedy. You know, like if you're a comedian, they get on HBO. That was like that, you know. For me, it was even better than being like on Letterman or Leno or shit like that because I was a little more edgy and raunchy. And I just remember hanging with Lemmy. Lemmy watched the set. And then afterwards, he's just hanging in his dressing room by himself. And he's drinking Jack Daniels. And me and Jim go in there. We're like, dude, I go, well, you know, thanks for doing this. And we're just huge fans and stuff like that. He goes, really? You guys are huge fans? We're like, yeah. He goes, you want to hear some of the new record? He had a boombox. It was a was it Motorizer? Yeah. Record that wasn't even out yet. It wasn't going to be out for another 3-4 months. And he's playing us like 4 or 5 songs off the record. It was one of the fucking greatest moments of my life that I'm hearing a Motörhead record before it's even out, and Lemmy is in the room playing it for us. And so proud of it. So then I remember we had to go, and then just before that metal show, so he has no fucking idea who I am. So we had to go into New York City to like film some like opening scenes for Jim's show or whatever, and Lemmy had to be in it with Jim on the street down in the like Greenwich Village. So I'm like, I'll go. I'm already done. I'm like, I'm gonna go. If I can go hang out with Lemmy and watch this, what else am I gonna do? So I like take my car into the city, following him down there, and I'm just hanging on the set. Lemmy's doing his thing. And then, I don't know, I can't remember how, but next thing I know, because they had a limo for Lemmy, I wound up in Lemmy's limo, because I think Lemmy's like, all right, I'll drop everyone off, everyone come in my limo. So he drops Jim Norton off and a couple of the producers, something like that, and I'm in the limo, like, fuck it, I'll go in the limo, and then I'll get back to my car at some point. Next thing you know, it's just me and Lemmy in his limo. I'm like, holy shit, I'm in a fucking limo with Lemmy. It's just me and him. And we're just rapping, whatever. I'm like, all right, I don't want to be a nuisance because he already saw me at the show. And now I'm in the limo with him. I went in the city. I watched him do his thing. Now I'm in his limo with him. I'm like, all right, I was in his dressing room listening to a new record. This guy's had enough of me. I don't want this guy to go, oh, this guy's fucking annoying. So after they drop, the limo driver goes, all right, where are you going? Where's your stop? I'm like, you could just drop me off in a few blocks. I'm good. I didn't want him to take me all the way down the village. And Lemmy goes to me, what are you doing? You going home? I'm like, yeah, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else is going on. It's just like at midnight. He goes, you don't want to go to a strip club with me? Let's go. I'm like, yeah, I'll go. He goes, no, if you don't want to go. I go, no, I'll go. He goes, yeah, let's go to a strip club. What the fuck are we doing? Let's do it. Next thing you know, we pulled up for a strip club. Fucking hung out there till 5 a.m. with Lemmy drinking. Never got back to my car. Took a cab back to Jersey, got my car the next day. I didn't give a fuck. 2 strippers in that 5 hours that were in that strip club came up to me at some point. They go, is that Lemmy from Motörhead? I go, yeah. And 2 of them said the same thing. He stayed in my apartment a couple years ago. He slept on my couch. I'm like, that's the fucking greatest thing ever. The 2 different strippers. And I said to Lemmy, I go, Lemmy, you know those girls over there? He's like, I don't think so. I'm like, from tonight? I go, no, they said you slept on the couch. Go, maybe I did. I don't fucking remember. He didn't even remember that he slept on a stripper's couch. It's a weird feeling when you go home. You know what I mean? Like you're driving home and you get home and you go back to your normal life and you're like, I just fucking hung out with one of my idols, drank with him and hung out in a strip club. And didn't just say, how come you didn't put, better production on your Iron Fist record? Like none of that. We're just talking like 2 regular dudes. Fuck, man. It's just weird when you know that, like, especially the main guy from a band, Lemmy, 3 guys in Motörhead, and you're never going to see them ever again. It's over. I just still can't fathom that. Because you always just thought Lemmy was indestructible. Smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day for 55 years. Stopped, and then I guess he was smoking again. He just stopped cold turkey one day. I mean, I guess he started smoking again towards the end, but he's like, I just didn't want to smoke anymore, and I just stopped. His health started failing him, over the last, 6-7 years. You would think it would have caught up to him a lot earlier. But But it was just an amazing, like, old school band where they would just pump out a record like every 18 months to 2 years and go on tour for like another year and a half, go right back in the studio, pump out another record, go back on tour. That was his whole life. Man. You know, when you go through your iPod or whatever, or your iTunes and whatever the fuck you listen to it on, and you're not sure what you want to listen to, and then all of a sudden you hit that one band, you're like, yeah, this is my go-to. This will always work. That was that band, Motörhead, for me. When you just wasn't sure you wanted to listen to, you go, this will do. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just weird because you almost feel like it was like a good cousin, you know. Like I said, you see every year and a half, you know, they're still around and that you're not gonna see again. Because with that metal show that I work on, Lemmy was, I think, our most frequent guest. I think he probably was on like 5 or 6 times, and we did, over the 7 years that we were on the air. Always loved having Lemmy on as a guest. He loved coming on the show. Me and Don Jamieson in like, I don't know what year it was, 2008. We decided to just I always wanted to go over to like Europe to see those like metal shows because they always had like great lineups, these big festivals or just like good package tours, and it would never come to the United States. And I remember it was Motörhead, Saxon, and Danko Jones. 3 bands that I love. And they were playing for like, 10 days or something like that. I don't know. Me and Don just said, you know what? Let's just fucking go to England, take a flight there, and follow them around for like 5 days to different cities. We'll take trains. We'll get hotels in the towns that they're in and just fucking do it. Why not? We're both single. We have a little money. Why not just do this? This will be fucking fun. And we flew over I was never in England before in my life. That was the first time I went over there. And we followed Motörhead, Saxon, and Danko Jones around for 5 days to different venues every night. Got hooked up by the band. Drinking with them whenever we wanted to. Going to the sound checks. Hanging with them. Just the fucking greatest time. Probably the best trip of my life. No chicks whatsoever. You go to a Motörhead, Saxon, and Danko Jones show over in England, or it doesn't matter where, there's not going to be a lot of hot chicks. There's hardly going to be. Lemmy was the hottest chick in the crowd. But it wasn't even about that. It didn't even matter. I mean, it would have been nice. One time Lemmy's doing that metal show and he's hanging out afterwards in his dressing room. And we just finished taping. He was on the episode. And we're packing up and we're leaving. It's the end of the night. And I think it went down. Like me and Dom were walking by Lemmy's dressing room and he's just sitting in there by himself. He's like, hey, man, what are you guys doing? We're like, we're just getting out of here because we don't want to leave. We already had him on the show. We're not going to bug him anymore. He knows who we are and shit like that. He's like, come on, man. Why don't you guys come in and have a drink with me? Let's have a couple drinks. And we just fucking sat in there for probably an hour and a half and drank with Lemmy as he poured us fucking Jack Daniels, Jack and Cokes. I just sat there and fucking just talked about whatever. I don't even remember what we talked about for like an hour. and sat with drank with Lemmy. I'm like, this is the fucking greatest gig I've ever had in my life. That I get to interview these guys that I idolize, get paid for it, and then I could fucking hang out and drink with him. My nephew Mike is a big metal fan, and my brother Bob's the one who turned me on to Motörhead, and you know, that's his son, and we go to see Motörhead probably like 2010. We'll bring my nephew backstage, who's probably 12, 13 at the time. I don't know, yeah, 13, 12. We bring him back to meet Lemmy, and Lemmy is the fucking signs the set list for him, signs all his shit, takes pictures with him, sits and talks to him because he wants to be in a band. And then we're doing shots. Lemmy's like pouring some fucking Jack Daniels shots, and I'm like, Mike, my nephew, you got to do a shot with Lemmy. Do you ever drink alcohol? He goes, no. I go, the first sip of alcohol you have to have with Lemmy from Motörhead. How fucking cool was that? I'm the one who brought it up. My brother's like, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I don't care. Just a little. And Lemmy is the one who goes, no. He goes, Mike, you don't want to go down that road. It's a bad road. You're not. And he gave him some iced tea instead. Lemmy's the one who told him not to drink. Just the wisdom the guy had, man. The funny shit that would come out of it. Just a smart guy. Never got respect in the music business. Never. You know, Rolling Stone, never in that magazine. It's obviously not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Why would Motörhead, who fucking changed music, huge influence on so many bands. Let me just started getting respect a little in the industry. Maybe like, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago. But still never got in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you know. You know, because they played heavy metal, so why, you know. They're stupid, they're ignorant, no talent, anybody can do that shit. I mean, just love the quotes the guy had. Here's another one. You know the main thing in life? A sense of humor. Lose that, you're done. You might as well blow your fucking brains out. Beautiful. Here's another one. I don't do regrets. Regrets are pointless. It's too late for regrets. You've already done it, haven't you? You've lived your life. No point in wishing you could change it. Beautiful. How about this? This entire generation seems to have become pussies, you know. Nobody seems to enjoy themselves much anymore. They're all knocking each other down for enjoying themselves. That's in 1988. And it's even 100 times worse now. If you don't know Motörhead or you're not too familiar with them, just go pick up a few records. Go get Ace of Spades. There's there's a greatest hits. I can't remember what it's called now. I don't know. I should know it. Killed by Death is on it. Whatever. Go listen to their stuff. I think you'll really like it. They put out like 21 studio records. I'm trying to find... People don't read anymore. It's a sad state of affairs. Reading's the only thing that allows you to use your imagination. When you watch films, it's somebody else's vision, isn't it? Genius. I love this. I don't see why there should be a point where everyone decides you're too old. I'm not too old, and until I decide I'm too old, I'll never be too fucking old. Um, yeah. Here's another one. I like girls. That's the only reason I'm in the music business. I discovered you can get women to take their clothes off if you have a guitar, and they come off a lot faster if you can play it. That's the one I was getting into before. Beautiful. Well said. Um, I'm trying to find a few more here. A kid once said to me, "Do you get hangovers?" I said, "To get hangovers, you have to stop drinking." Beautiful. Here's another one. I've never gone to bed with an ugly chick, but I've woken up with a few. If people had more sex, there'd be less people in church swearing to God to vilify the minorities. And there'd be less people wanting to kill each other because they'd be getting fucked. And it's a lot more fun than shooting people. There's so many of them, man. Um, I was glad I got to go to his 70th birthday party. I mean, glad to go, "Hey, Lem, how you doing, man?" I'm doing good, man. Cool, man. I'm just like, cool to be hanging out here and stuff. Good. How's the TV show? It's good, man. We're still, still hanging in there. Good. I saw you guys in Vegas, man. You guys were great opening for Saxon. A fun gig. And then I didn't want to bother him after that. I was, what I was really bummed about too is my son Luke really wanted to meet Lemmy. I've told him so many stories about him. He loves when Motörhead comes on the radio. He's like, loves singing that. He knows as soon as a Motörhead, who's this, Luke? Motörhead? He knows Lemmy's voice right off the bat. How it's so distinctive anyway. But at 5, he knows. And I told him they played like in September, this past September, but it was in Long Island, and it was a school night for him, and I wanted to take him, but it was just too far, and it was a pain in the ass to get back and forth. And I said, "Don't worry, they'll come around again. You'll meet him," because he really wanted to meet him. He loves meeting guys like that. And I remember he wanted to go to the birthday party with me. I'm like, "You can't." He's like, "Why?" He thought it was gonna be like a party where, you know, like a kid's party. They have cake and fucking blow out candles and sing happy birthday and, be normal instead of like in a loud rock club and going on at 2 in the morning. I'm like, "You can't. I can't bring you to California. You got school and all that stuff." He's like, "I want to go." So don't worry, you'll meet him. And he was really bummed when I told him. I said, Lemmy died, man. He was really bummed. It's like, "Dad, I never got to meet him." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." But I got his autograph like a few years for him. Like I would do to any of these guys that would come on the show. I have him sign a paper. This is for my son Luke. I'm going to put him on his wall and shit like that. So I did get him his autograph. I don't know, man. That's the one thing that sucks about getting old. As you get old, you start losing more and more people that you knew. I wasn't friends with the guy, obviously, but, I already said what I had to fucking say. Yeah, all right. I'm done, man. I don't know. I don't know if this podcast is up to par, but I had to do a tribute to the guy. Just a huge part of my life growing up, this and that. Motörhead was always the go-to, like I said. Music gets you through a lot of shit that goes on in your life. I don't know, for me, if people are passionate about music, know what I'm talking about. Motörhead definitely did that for me. Great music to work out to. Fast and heavy. Don't let them bastards grind you down. See, you know what? Maybe I'll play two songs. I think I could do two. Because Don't Let Them Bastards Grind You Down. It's off the Iron Fist record. I always went to that song when fucking shit was going on. Where I felt like I had to prove myself or do whatever it was. Someone was on me and I was going through some shit. And just like, Don't Let Them Bastards Grind You Down was one of my favorite songs I'd always go listen to when there was turmoil going on in my life. And then I want to play a song called Built for Speed after that, because the lyrics in that song is just sums up Lemmy in a nutshell. So let's go with those two. And listen to the words of Don't Let Them Bastards Grind You Down. Because whatever you're going through is some kind of shit. Just remember that stuff. Don't let them grind you down. They're fucking bastards and you'll win. Don't let them get to you. And then Built for Speed is just fucking genius. Just listen to the lyrics, because he doesn't give a shit. And he's like, this is the way I am. I don't give a fuck. And if you don't like it, too bad. All right, Lemmy. That's it.